paternity court got canceled after this.
Settle this, to get closure, to have resolution to this. And it seems like you keep evading this process. We do a lot of this, and we hear a lot of testimony in this courtroom. But Ms. Carmen, I must be honest, if I was in your husband's position, I would have doubt too.
This daughter here was on a long journey to find her long-lost father, but she had little to no help in this regard. Ms. Cherry brought the defendant to court in the hopes of getting some answers. However, the guy here was certainly not going to make that easy for her.
Ms. Cherry, you claim Mr. Johnson is your father. Mr. Johnson, you admit you understand why today's results are so important for both of you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson did seem sympathetic to the troubled life of the plaintiff, but he had solid reasons to believe he was not the father that Ms. Cherry had been on the hunt for. The plot thickened, and we were here for it.
Things that were told to me over the years, it was told to me that I was her father. They found out that I was not the father, and they apologized to me.
Let's dive back to the events that took place way back in 1985. So, the defendant did indeed meet the defendant's mother. Yep, and he remembered her. So far, so good. The crack was how these guys met.
At the time, in 1985, my girlfriend was also pregnant, and she had left to go to Ohio on the alcohol. Needless to say, we ended up having that one encounter that one night.
You would think that this would be just one night of drunken fun and nothing more. Well, that was certainly not the case. Oh yes, Ms. Cherry's mother lost something special that night, along with gaining something.
But your mother, if she couldn't be pregnant beforehand and then he take her virginity.
I know both are saying is that he took her virginity.
Mr. Johnson, do you believe Miss Cherry's mother was a virgin? Is that what you were told? Was that your understanding?
The work was done. Now it was time for the consequences. Yep, these kinds of fun always have drastic consequences, especially when caution is thrown to the wind. According to Mr. Johnson, he did get to know about pregnancy, but not through conventional manners.
So then did you get wind of the fact that they were talking about Miss Cherry's mother?
Yes, because the person in the neighborhood told me that it was. People in the neighborhood just were coming up to me and telling me, congratulations on your daughter, and I was saying, I'm having a son.
2 women got pregnant by the defendant. Moreover, the timeline was eerily overlapping. Now that has got to be confusing on all levels. Mr. Johnson had been a naughty boy, having fun with his girlfriend, and Ms. Cherry's mother on the side as well.
Went to the hospital to visit my son who had been born.
Again, you're getting this same feedback, like you have a daughter.
Indeed, he was laying in the bed, and I just proceeded to go to my girlfriend's room.
This case was getting interesting by the minute. Now the defendant believed he wasn't the father. He did get chummy with Dee Dee, but according to him, it bore no consequences. And yet, the other party's family believed he was the father, dearest man, oh man.
We found out who the real father is. You are not the father, and I apologize to you.
Your
But
Honor,
was that credible, or did you just assume it and run with it because you were already having another baby?
This was turning out to be a whirlpool of emotions and twists. Mr. Johnson adopted honesty as the best policy and claimed he didn't have enough money for a DNA test, and that led Ms. Cherry to ask follow-up questions. She was not letting him off the hook that easily.
my mother had advised me that 2 years prior to me being adopted,
Alleged baby daddy evaded being the father of Ms. Cherry at every opportunity. He claimed to have closure, and yet his actions say otherwise. Who better to question the guy's resolve than our very own Judge Lake?
Probably really is the truth. I was young, dumb, and didn't step up for my responsibility.
Moving on, the plaintiff donned her Sherlock hat and went Googling on the internet. Through Ancestry.com, she came across some cousins who then led her to the defendant. Now that she had the name, all that was left was to contact him.
When you got that response, what were you thinking?
I started crying.
Because in that moment, what did it feel like?
Like I finally found him.
Even though Mr. Johnson believed he wasn't the one who fathered Ms. Cherry, he signed up for child support. That was interesting and had a lot to unpack. Either this guy was in denial or truly had a good heart. Sadly, this did not affect the alleged daughter, though.
Need someone someday to say that they care.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I don't believe he ever cared because I still was adopted. Both of my parents signed their rights over, both of them.
The text exchange these guys shared had another interesting message, and that message confused the heck out of Ms. Cherry. This guy had been persistent about his claim, but his actions and now this text exchange contradicted everything.
Mr. Johnson, This doesn't sound doubtful. This says you believe 99% she is your daughter and that you've been waiting her.
Ms. Cherry has had a long, hard journey, and the people certainly didn't make it easier for her. The drama has gone on long enough now. Let's roll out the results and put Ms. Cherry out of her misery.
Mr. Johnson, you are not the father. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Mr. Johnson, I see how emotional you are.
Yes, I mean, I may not be your biological father, and I didn't raise you, but I can't give you life.
Marriage was at stake. Mr. Carmen was desperate to prove to her husband that he fathered baby Ronezaya. However, the defendant claimed otherwise and was pretty confident the results would be in his favor.
Ms. Carmen, you open your case today in hopes of saving your 18-year marriage. You claim to have bombshell evidence that proves another man is the daddy. Is that correct?
That is correct.
While the wife was fighting for their marriage of 18 years. Wow, that's a long time. The husband was having none of it. Nope. He seemed to love opening his testimony with metaphors like it wasn't a case proceeding, but your everyday literary class.
That pretty face right there.
Which is
That pretty face
yes.
right there.
Yes, that's your face.
And I've been right there the whole time
Yes, you have.
from day one.
And I see tears in your eyes when you look at her.
Once shining and booming love turned stale. The million-dollar question was, what led them to this point? According to the plaintiff, these guys separated for a while. Wait till you hear what led them to separation.
Because I couldn't get the car, I kind of took it out on him.
Because of a rent-a-car?
Yes, because of a rental car, Your Honor. We decided that he was gonna leave.
As it turned out, whether the wife enjoyed their time apart or not, the husband most definitely did. Oh yeah, he had a blast during that time when he turned an apartment into a party hub of fun. Wow.
Apartment,
I went and got my own. I
turned
was
it
gonna
into
sleep in the
a
street.
boom boom room.
And so a boom boom room is what? A party house?
It's a party house.
With women?
With women.
I guess 27 years of being together had the potential to do that to people. These guys took time off, but did not do that amicably. Nuh-uh! It seemed Mr. Carmen rented a boom room because his wife ended up doing something interesting with all his stuff.
Recording the park, talking to my partner. She goes, you know what? Tasmanian devil. Yeah,
So you had to get your stuff and
packed
go
it
get a
up.
place to live. Okay,
Oh, this is fascinating. After the husband got a secret apartment, the wife wasn't gonna let him off the hook that easily, no matter the separation. Oh yeah, she took some help and went investigating what was going on around that place, and she was in for surprises.
Came and picked me up and told me, she said, you must know what's going on over there.
And so you would see the people coming in and out?
Yes.
So you decided I'm gonna pay somebody $100?
I did.
Uh-oh.
So then I decided I gotta go to me. I'm not finna sit around even though, and I can't believe.
Man, these guys were toxic as heck. The concept of taking the high road was lost on them. They both were vengeful. When the husband found out about the wife's shenanigans, bam, he was back at the house. This whole scenario got swept under the rug, but then a doctor's appointment revealed a surprise.
You know, at the time, I was like, all right, well, one more, let's do it again. Text messages
Oh, you got a text message.
from the mystery man's family member. Blah, 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 blah. What?
Once that ship sailed, there was no coming back from it. Nope, baby mama was still adamant that Ronezaya was his daughter, and when one is desperate enough, they take desperate measures. That was what she did when she started pinpointing the similar features they both shared.
That's his daughter.
No, you really can't, because we do this every day too.
You know why they work? Yeah, he right, because he could hear Nat pee.
It was time to see whether this marriage stood a chance or not. The results were surely going to determine that. Ms. Carmen had a lot at stake, and that was evident in the emotions swirling on her face. Let's get right to it.
Mr. Carmen, you are the father. Oh, Jesus. Are you all right, Miss Carmen?
It's your daughter.
And I'm glad.
The plaintiff brought the defendant to court to prove to him that the rumor mill spewing things about her were just plain old rumors and nothing more, but the defendant found them true. And now their relationship and baby Jaden's future was on the line.
You say that after being with Mr. Hunter for 5 years, you say you believe you even caught her in the act of cheating on you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then he said, she said battle commenced and rather quickly. These guys were together for quite some time, but the love and commitment appeared lost. They both made a mockery of the relationship and now came seeking answers here at the paternity court.
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
You were.
Yes. After I seen the text messages, the females calling my phone.
All that stuff about getting back at your partner had serious consequences. Ms. Davies didn't pay any heed to it, and Tata, now there was a baby in the picture. The potential baby daddy had doubts and reservations. Well, we all saw that coming. didn't we?
Once I briefly had a relationship with the guy because he has been there in my life for, at this time, we've been together like 2.5 years.
Circling back to the rumor mill, it appeared Mr. Hunter was at an impasse. He got to know about the pregnancy, and even though the baby mama was 100% positive, baby daddy, sadly, wasn't. No shock there. His reasons are these.
You're not denying it. You're just smirking, Miss Davy. What's the story?
I did go to parties, but as far as me hooking up with the guys at a party, that is false, Your Honor.
Oh, this woman was sneaky and conniving. Dear God. She was just caught in a lie right in the middle of this court, and she dared to talk about trusting one another. Wow. Get over yourself, woman.
She brings another guy and another girl upstairs into the room while I'm in there. So then she makes me leave.
That is true, Your Honor. That's true.
Okay.
That is true.
Now,
Well, explain that.
Ms. Davies had her fun as according to her. Her boyfriend was also having fun, so she also deserved to kick up her heels and paint the town red. Now, whether that's true or not, only one of them ended up getting pregnant.
Like
that,
you all have
I
a lot
wanted
going
to
on.
step out and have fun too because he was doing it also.
We get pregnant, we carry the children, and we often carry the burden.
Well, well, well. Baby mama's dam broke and she got emotional. But did that have any effect on the defendant? Nope, nada. He was not fazed by her emotional displays at all and went ahead to share another story about her.
And then she gets up and walks to the kitchen, and she's in the kitchen for like maybe 10, 15 minutes. She's supposed to came back already. I walk around to the kitchen, and she's down there standing in between this guy's legs.
What is this about? When you say, I'm upset because I didn't know he felt all these things about me. You do understand that these are things you've shown him.
Yes.
Because you're admitting in court that they happened. He's not just thinking it up, it happened.
Until now, Mr. Hunter had only one mission, to make the baby mommy a villain in this entire story. But he wasn't a saint either. Not at all. He was just sneaky enough to pile all the blame on Ms. Davies and let her take the brunt of it.
Right,
Because
right.
all of it isn't true, is what you're saying.
I didn't think that he really believed all those things.
Don't think I don't understand that.
It was time for the baby daddy to get a taste of his own medicine, and believe me, it was bitter. Mr. Hunter was a player of sorts and liked to stay out all night. Classic jerk, isn't he? And his reason was equally stupid. Oh, this guy just begged to be canceled.
You want to come home at 4 and 5 in the morning?
I had good reasons, y'all. I had a party.
When did a party become good reason to stay out to 5 o'clock in the morning when you have a girlfriend at home?
Time for some evidence to back up the claim of Ms. Davies. Now, this evidence was a picture comparison of the baby daddy and Jaden's hair. Ms. Davies appeared rather passionate about their hair, and that passion ended up being costly.
They both have curly hair, nice hair.
Both of their hair look a mess, but I'm gonna give the baby a pass. Now listen, the next piece of evidence is what?
The height of my child, Your Honor.
Next up was another picture of evidence, and this highlighted the feet of both guys. The baby and Dada both stood in a certain way that made them related. This biological concept was known as slew footing, and that was something new for me too. You learn every day, man.
And they stand just like that.
Now I see it in Mr. Hunter, but do you really think, Jade?
Just alike, Your Honor. Both of their feet are pointed outwards.
Testimonies were heard, and evidence was presented and analyzed. Now it was time for the most vital part of this case, the DNA results. The guy called off the wedding due to paternity doubt. Let's see whether there will be a wedding for these guys or not.
Mr. Hunter, you are not the father.
I told you.
I'm very
Told
sorry.
you.
Ms. Davies, are we to assume that this other gentleman?
Yes.
A wedding was due, the couple was excited about the wedding festivities, and then bam, the defendant canceled his wedding. Oh no, it looked like their destination changed from the church to the paternity court rather swiftly.
Ms. Todd, you are suing your former fiance, Mr. Foster, to prove he fathered so the baby's not yours.
Yes.
Time to shed light on the day this doubt train took off from the station. Ms. Todd went out with her guy friend, which was nothing out of the ordinary, but she came back home the next morning, and so the suspicions began.
You went out with a friend and stayed out all night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, so did you sleep with him that night?
I normally don't go through her phone at all.
Is this true? And stayed out all night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, so did you sleep with him that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, kudos to the plaintiff for coming clean about her extracurricular activities, and by the looks of it, wasn't a one-time thing with her. Her honesty didn't do her any favors, as the ex-fiancé found out something new. Yikes.
You're engaged to Mr. Foster.
No, not at the time he wasn't.
At the time, you just dating.
Yeah, we was boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. He didn't propose to me. He proposed to me on my birthday. That was the time that he
That was after you had already been intimate with
Yes.
this gentleman more than one time.
Yes.
Dear Lord, baby mama played the poor guy like a fiddle. She testified she wasn't engaged to Mr. Foster. But interestingly, if we were to believe Mr. Foster, these guys were surely engaged. Man, these testimonies sure gave the judge a headache.
Were you or were you not, Miss Todd, engaged when you had your friend come pick you up?
If I'm not mistaken, it was cold out when the guy came and come
No,
to
it was
come and get her.
outside when he came. It was one.
For they don't know whether or not they were engaged. He was engaged, she was not engaged.
This was a chaotic mess from the beginning. Ms. Todd did seem like a compulsive liar. Heck, she was gutsy enough to lie in court as well. She was sure that Mr. Foster was her baby daddy. However, Mr. Foster's mother has something interesting to reveal.
Ms. Todd admitted that the other guy was the father.
I say it was a possibility that Mr. Foster or the other guy could be the father.
You left that part out of your early testimony.
Ms. Todd is a liar.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. And Ms. Todd's pants were definitely on fire. Miss Foster wasn't finished with her testimony, and the baby mama was already not coming out decent, let alone a good guy out of it. Yes!
You had her family members calling you to say.
Exactly.
Yes.
You were there.
Yes.
You participated.
Yes.
So you
named her, everything.
The plaintiff was here contesting the claim he wasn't the father, and yet he ended up signing the good old birth certificate. Granted, he did that out of the goodness of his heart, but whether or not he was the biological father, he was the legal one.
You had access to legal counsel and still went on and signed a birth certificate for a child?
Yes, because he was advised not to do it.
Yes, I did.
Mr. Foster wasn't getting off the hook that easily now. The only thing left to do was to tear the envelope open and get the results. His actions were admirable though, and I was rooting for him. Here we go.
Mr. Foster, you are her father.
Oh,
I told you so. I told you was her father. She looked just like you.
I'm sorry, Chantel.
She looked just like you.
This courtroom exists